there's a Vietnamese coffee place here. I don't know if you remember Roostar. It's like this Vietnamese like grill. So they have amazing coffee, iced coffee. I don't know what's in it. I think it's like some type of condensed milk, but yeah, condensed milk, sugar. Bro, they describe this as jet fuel. So drinking that with some prunes is bro, it's a it'll have you energized but also a clean system. So if you're ever back in the city, definitely try it out. But yeah, it's great and they have amazing advertising, amazing marketing. They do a really good job. But looking at them and their marketing and advertising, I saw another company on Twitter that was they literally had a I don't know what you call it, like a customer service rep like from the Philippines working the register. Bro, I don't like how sick is that, right? To have I- like that's just crazy. That's crazy. What do you think about that?
you know, Outsourcing work to the Philippines has been a thing for a minute, virtual assistants, but that's like task based work on the web, right? Like spreadsheets, emails, tedious stuff, monotonous tasks like that. To see this photo, this is from San San Chicken in New York City. This is a photo from the customer themselves. Pretty wild to see. This is the future, man. Like, okay, so we see in this photo how the hardware is kind of separated, right? So you have one monitor that says welcome for, let's assume it's like a touchpad of some sorts. You have the monitor to the right who's just displaying the rep from the Philippines. And then you have a set of speakers, and then it looks like the payment, pad on the bottom. The future is going to look a lot like this, but it's all going to be in one. It's going to be like a wall, like a vending machine type thing, where like the screen's on there, the touchpad's on there, the speakers are built in, the payments all it's all gonna be synced up. This is a glimpse at the future right here.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know how solid this will be because for this to work, I kind of have a hot take that poor people can't exist. Like poor people can't exist in a world of automation because when things are designed, they're not really designed for poor people in mind. They're not designed for homeless people. They're designed for some weird you know, utopia of tech people. Um, so I don't know how far this would actually work. And I mean, what happens when someone cars doesn't go through? What happens when someone punches the screen? When what happens if people don't recognize, their possible accent, there's so many things that could go wrong in these. Then what happens if, everything else isn't automated? So, this uh I don't know what you call the person, this cashier from the Philippines, um, they having issues do the cook comes out and like start hitting buttons. You gotta have a whole engineer there, right? To take a look at it. In a world where everyone's, has an iPhone 15 with Apple Pay and all the different apps and they're all content and they're American Express and their cars are gonna all work all the time. Maybe in that world this would be a great idea, but in reality, uh, I don't see it working. And I saw an article that I shared with well, you shared with me, or did I share it with you? I'm not sure who sent it to who, but I was looking at an article about Amazon that they ditched their stores where you can just go in and just pick up what you want because they basically had also outsourced people to watch on cameras what people were getting and making sure they were charged that way. So it never actually was a thing, this innovation that they were pushing, that you could just walk into the store, they recognize your whatever your phone, and you can just buy whatever you want. It weighs and walk out. So they have ditched that. So again, another thing, you know, while we can take the more high ground and say, oh, no one's gonna steal, no one, it'll just be in a perfect world. Again, this is something that's not designed really for our hellscape of a society, right? So, uh, yeah, another outsourced thing that's just not panning out. What do you think about that, man? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, so I actually just experienced this checkout system or lack thereof at the United Center a few weeks ago, and it kind of tripped me out because first time experiencing it. So as I grabbed my items, I'm like looking for the cashier, wasn't there, um, but there was like a security person kind of just supervising the area, so they kind of gave me the signal like, oh no, you can just walk out. And I remember like the next 20 minutes like waiting on the payment to come through on my bank statement because I was like thinking like, okay, did the AI pick up or whoever's monitoring the cameras, the feeds, like did it pick it up? That I grabbed the right items. Like, am I going to be undercharged, overcharged? So the whole system is very limiting and dehumanized, especially with like the cashier from the Philippines. It's like you're right. It's like what happens if the connection goes down? Does the manager from the back who's on the grill or whatever, I have to come back and set up the meeting and all that. So and then the customer service, that's a whole topic of itself, right? Like these people need to get paid more. So I can see a lot of businesses, resorting to outsourcing cashier type work. And it's sad just because like a lot of them will probably take that route because they can, because of the pay gap, they can pay um, just far less to outsource it to the Philippines than to pay someone in the U.S.
Very strange. Yeah, like I said, people do not design for poor people in mind. They do not think about these services, uh, when it comes to the everyday consumer. They kind of think about New York, lower Manhattan. They'll think about North Side Chicago. They'll think about uh, LA, San Francisco, but they never think about uh, Biloxi, Mississippi, or or Kinder, Louisiana. Like they're not thinking about those small places, and they may well never want to go into those markets. I tend to I can't prove it, but I think there's some weird like sci-fi fantasy that these cities they want to like create these environments, these tech environments. It's so like deprived of nature almost. Yeah, I don't want to go too much on a tangent on that. That's for another episode. But yeah, man, very very strange.
Yeah, well, on the topic of outsourcing tech work and just advancements across the board, NASA picked the three companies to design the next moon buggy. Those three companies are Intuitive Machines, Lunar Outpost, and Venturi Astrolab. They're gonna give them 12 months to conceptualize a design. They have to design the buggy and they're in charge of getting it to the moon. Artemis 2 mission is slated for 2026. That's going to get, I think, technically two astronauts onto the lunar surface, but they want um, the craft, the lunar craft, to be there waiting for the Artemis 5, I believe, which is going to be later, like 2029, 2030. So requirements for this moon buggy, it has to last 10 years. It has to carry at least two astronauts, and it has to be manual and operated remote. So pretty cool. I'll throw up the concepts that they submitted to all three companies. You can see just in their initial concepts, they kind of envision what this craft would look like in three different ways. It even looks like so far as like utility differences, in the craft. I think it's just interesting to think about what's something, because I mean, we're thinking about, this is sci-fi in real life. They haven't had a moon buggy since like, what was it, like 71, 72 or something. So it's been a minute since we've addressed this, and it's just gonna allow, for more discovery, more science to be done. Question for you: Moon lunar terrain vehicle. What are some of the features that you would have on yours? I know for me, I'm thinking defense systems, right? I'm thinking,
Yeah,
mounted
yeah.
mounted on the front, left and right, just ready for whatever. Because they're talking about exploring the moon's surface. I mean, we haven't explored much of the lunar surface, so who knows what they can pull up on. Obviously, there's a lot of conspiracy theories around that, but I'm sure defense is in the conversation. I mean, uh, we can assume that the ones that are prioritized are the ruggedness of the vehicle, right? Like getting through the terrain, the weather. It's the south pole of the moon, so it's just a tough area, tough terrain.
Bro, it's just a scary idea to even think about, if the date you're saying is correct, like the 70s was the last time this was done. At this point, most people don't even think it's a real thing to even that people have went to the moon, and I think might be some truth to that. I don't know. I don't think our government is well, hell, I really don't know. Like that's at that time, like that's pretty, like they didn't have iPhones, but they went to the moon. But now we don't go to the moon, but we have iPhones. It's so weird. Or maybe they got the technology from the moon for iPhones. Who knows? But man, to even think about walking on the moon or just being in space. Bro, I have issues like at a state fair when you sit in a seat and it takes you all the way up and your feet dangling. So just imagine that. Like, of course, yeah, defense systems, but like a diaper. Like that's what I would want, right? Can you shit in these suits? Like that's what I'm worried about. Like, and I'm one of these people who when I get nervous, I start to eat. Like how do you eat? You know what I'm saying? Like that's so I don't know enough about being an astronaut. I wish I did, because to be able to drive like these vehicles, this looks like some. I think I saw this. Was this like in a video game? That's what the renders look like. So yeah, like I definitely want some rockets, some stuff just in case some ancient lizard creature that decided to leave Earth to hang out on the moon. Damn, isn't that a who does that? Is that a Marvel thing? I think that I'm not a big Marvel guy just because that type world is very, you know, they're literally killing millions of people every movie. So I'm just not a fan of like this terror they're causing. But yeah, like, bro, that would be like how much of a flex that would be to drive on the moon and just come back to Earth.
Right. Yeah.
Like how do you actually do that, bro? Like the way I might just turn into a sociopath, right? Like what can a cop tell you at that point if you're speeding or you go off-roading? Like you're a legend at that point, bro.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you get pulled over, you can be like, I've driven in zero gravity. Like, come on now. Yeah. So, and it's funny you bring up the suits because those were just like finalized, or like the project, Axiom Space. Axiom's local to Houston. I think they're out of a little outside, I think like League City, I want to say. They like partnered with Prada to design the suit for the astronauts that will be walking on the moon. They look badass. They look like, future tech. um, you know, more up to date rather than like the old retro all white puffy ones. They're slick, they're clean, um, but yeah, and then the whole idea of this like return it to the moon, I guess it's because like the longevity, like they're talking about making our way to Mars. So like moon's gonna become like a moon base, and there's gonna we're gonna have people there and structures there, and it's gonna provide as like a checkpoint from here and Mars and stuff. So wild to wrap your head around. Um, the Artemis missions, they already did one for the Orion spacecraft. They went around the moon and back. Artemis 2 is next. That's the one they're going to do a manned mission around the moon and back. And then the one after that is when they send 4 astronauts back to the moon. I think 2 of them stay in the spacecraft, and then 2 of them go onto the surface, collect samples, check out the area and shit. So yeah, I mean, if these dates are hit, and it doesn't just keep getting pushed back, because that's another conversation thing in this, obviously a big one in the space world. It's like, why haven't we been back to the moon? What's going on? So these steps that we're taking, um, it's big for mankind, I think. So yeah, we'll see what comes of that.
But you know something I need help with, man. Before
Talk
we
to me.
even think about getting to the moon, man, I gotta learn Spanish. Bro, I've been having a real issue. I'm always, I cook, I'm a cook, but I eat out a lot. I live in a diverse community, and for the life of me, I have to, I'm trying to expand my language, you know. Um, and when I was doing that, I saw with this, I got Duolingo, and I saw the weirdest app icon.
Yeah.
I we have it in the chat. How do you feel about about that shit, bro? That's
So it's interesting, and I'm looking it up like on Reddit and stuff, and it seems to be it's not really received that well. People are saying that it's not motivating, and it's depressing to look at. Now, one uh, let's see, Lifehacker Australia apparently got in contact with their product team. They reported spokesperson for Duolingo says our iconic mascot Duo the Owl is quite literally exhausted from doing everything he can to remind learners to do their lessons. From ice skating in a 4-hour musical to receiving a BBL plastic surgery for the Super Bowl, he's had an insanely busy few months. His latest strategy? Question mark. Honesty. So, uh, I know like Duolingo's thing, like their marketing thing, because I have them up, right? Like I'm also trying to learn Spanish. I'm not consistent at all with it. So, haven't made much progress there. But because I'm not consistent with it, I have to constantly see, like I'm looking at the mascot right now. I haven't done it since Monday. We're recording this on a Thursday. So I have it as a widget on my home screen. And right now, like the little owl mascot's just kind of like this, just looking at me like this.
yeah.
Like, come on, man. Like you're lacking. Like, come on, like get back in the app. And I've noticed that they've done that for a minute, and I can appreciate that. Like, it does kind of have like an effect on you. Like, oddly enough, just like seeing this little mascot person just like disappointed. And especially, I don't pay for the app. I just do the free one and have to watch the Super Duolingo ad after every lesson. But I'm sure for the people who pay annually for it, they see that and they're like, "Oh shit, I kind of did pay for this. Let me actually put in the work to learn it." Now with the whole app icon change, I think that's like a little dramatic. I don't know. I think like their mascot look is already strong enough. Everybody recognizes their green bird mascot. This is recent, 3-4 days ago. People are saying like, "Why did they do this? It's not motivating. It's I uninstall the app." So I don't know. I mean, because like I said, like I do appreciate the up to date changes. So like if I'm killing it, if I'm 12 day streak, or something minimal, but the app is tracking my progress, it knows that 12 days is a lot for me. So if it want to change, the little avatar to like, like something like, go ahead, keep going. I can see that have an effect on the user experience. Like, oh, they're like, vouching for me. They're proud of me. They're proud of me putting in this work. I should go back and do it again and again and again, day after day. Um, but I don't know. I can see how like some people are saying that it's staying like that, even if they are on a streak, because it's the whole app icon. So I mean, what can you do about that? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder, I need to look into who their team is, that their product team or their marketing team, whoever's making these decisions, because I don't know if anyone said this out loud, but this gives me very much South America style marketing. Uh, Most people don't know South America, Central South America, they're way more edgy than we are in America. Something like a app, like in America or in the West, we like apps to be black and white, right? That's how we like our apps. So something as animated as this, I just feel like here in the States, uh we're not fun enough for something like this, for to be talking about a bird having a BBL and all this type stuff. We put it on the screen with it with the app icons looking like. I just think it's a little bit too much for this demo. It's a great idea. It's super creative. Um, it's just, yeah, I don't think we're uh I don't think we're progressive enough. It seems like we're progressive. We're not in America. We're not actually progressive or liberal. We're just like, we call the liberal liberalism is just the status quo, right? It's really the center. So just a fucking bird having a BBL and bags under his eyes because you ain't got on it. I think it's like, it's not. Now, what I would love to see is just like, which I don't think Apple would even allow something like this, but more those notifications being more uh customized, and maybe it pops up with this, whatever this bird name is, I forgot its name, having these type animations or looks, that I think that would be uh more helpful than, because I have like 50 apps on my phone. Like I have to go to like the folder at the end, what is it called, on on the app library, and like type this shit in. I don't even know where to find half this stuff at, right? So I'm never actually gonna see this enough to even keep up with it if I don't have those notifications turned on. So it's weird, bro. It's weird. Very strange. But yeah, speaking of icon apps and sociopaths, man, did you see this trailer for the next Joker film? A lot of people in my algorithms been talking about it. Just this one scene, um, this camera work that was going on, which I think we can put it up. I don't think it'll get a strike or anything, of him, behind looks like he's in prison behind glass. Man, that was a beautiful shot. They're really doing their thing, and I didn't think anyone could top uh RIP my man, what he did with the first Joker, but Joaquin Phoenix is definitely uh pushing pushing the limits with this, man.
Yeah. No, you're right. Rest in peace, Heath Ledger. And that's so. It reminds me of watching the first or sorry, Joaquin Phoenix's first Joker for the first time. I was kind of reluctant to watch it because I felt, like I was betraying Heath Ledger in some way because he was the only Joker that I kind of, knew. But as we saw in the first, Phoenix knocked it out the park. He's a great actor. So internet's loving this trailer. The so the people know, the scene we're talking about, like Melton said, we'll throw it up. It's how the trailer ends, right? It's very strong, very bold. He's behind the glass. There's that separation there. Lady Gaga plays the female lead. I can't remember. We're assuming. I'm pretty sure the trailer reveals that it's her talking to him. But basically, draws a smile on the window. Camera pan, focuses on him as he's talking to her, then to the window, then back to him, and he aligns himself with the marker on the window, and he smiles, and title card. It's a great shot. Fans are loving it, getting them hyped up for the movie. It's really cool. I guess we see it, or it's kind of drowned out from, we're talking about Marvel earlier. A lot of like the cinematics of films have kind of been like the audience base or like attention have been drawn to these big picture, Michael Bay-esque like Marvel movies, when like these subtle kind of camera movements and techniques are kind of overlooked. So it's cool to see like, this production, kind of have some light shined on it, just from a trailer alone. So I'm sure that box office for this movie is going to go crazy.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I can't wait to see it. I'm really into films. I'm not really into movies. I have to keep up with the beanie aesthetic of only watching cinema, only watching uh foreign films. But this movie I'm excited to see it. I'm always a fan of the villain for some reason. I like villains. They make more sense to me. A lot of times, the heroes never really make sense. So I like how they're developing this character. I did see Aquaman, whatever that Aquaman movie was earlier this year. Man, horrible, 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 horrible movie, man. But that goes to show, that villains sometimes they just have so much to build upon. And yeah, yeah, I can't wait for it to come out. I definitely will I'm a big popcorn eater, so I'll probably go see it, get a large box of popcorn or something. But man, I saw something, speaking of villains, I saw something on LinkedIn. I'm a big LinkedIn person, you know, big professional. So I saw this post from Peter, that's all he's getting. I'm not going to he has to pay for promo, right? So he had a post, we'll put the post up, and he basically was talking about how, in tech or in design, how there's a lot of layoffs and there's basically no organizations to support what we do. We don't have any collective bargaining like the NBA and other organizations out there, basically insinuating union but not a union because people are scared of unions. And it was very interesting as someone who is extremely active in my community when it comes to design. It was an interesting post, and I do agree with him that a lot of organizations aren't really equipped to meet the needs of tech workers or design. I've always said what we do, specifically as designers, we are the most unethical professionals or the most unprofessional professionals. We're the only people who can literally, go from smoking weed, mattress on the floor, designing on a MacBook to a $200,000 job, $100,000 job, really be working on products that literally can change our world, like from the stories earlier with the Philippines help to this Duolingo app where they have old man looking birds. Like we have no actual accountability in what we do. There's no license, there's no standard set, there's no test to say, hey, this person is actually qualified to do what we do. And I think that's very interesting and it's something that I don't think we'll ever get to the point where it's a thing, but it's very interesting uh, that we don't as designers who work in tech that's not something in place. I personally don't see it as a negative having a license or certification or even a union, but I think a lot of people in design like they like to not have restrictions or standards, which lead to other problems that by the time those problems arise, they kind of they already got their money, so it doesn't it doesn't matter, right? So uh it's weird, man. It's a weird thing that I uh over the course of us building what we're doing here, I have a strategy here locally that I'm trying to implement. So yeah, it's gonna be cool to see how that plays out. Very much like the oath that doctors take. There's a certain standard that's should be set. So what happens in I believe in most cities, just you can pick anyone on the map. There's a disconnect between students, juniors, then senior designers. So a lot of things don't actually trickle down, and junior students, and not just junior designers, but also freelancers, self-taught designers, college dropouts, people who just like design. There's so many people who are design adjacent. They make t-shirts, they make music covers who could benefit from a certain standard being set. I started designing at 16. I had no clue what uh, any of these organizations that's mentioned in these posts were, nor did I know where to look to find those things. So I had to go almost in a circle to get back to the my desired point if there was a stronger community. So even before there's a license or certification, being able for newer designers to know where to go, who to talk to, more mentorship that isn't set up for monetization. Like if it doesn't make dollars, it don't make sense. But dollars sometimes could be a sociopath, right? So like not all dollars are good dollars. I mean, literally the dollars are like I'm not even gonna say it, but you know what I mean. Like dollars are literally like the craziest thing in the world. So, um, but what? So to get to the point, building something that the guy who posted this and people who responded to it, going back to the bottom, reaching furthest down to, and I think we talked about this, the person who has the laptop plugged in, who if they unplug it, their computer turns off, who is fighting to keep that Adobe subscription, who can't afford that $60. They have to sign into someone else's, they have to disconnect the internet for to be able to design something just in case Adobe pops up with that box or whatever to say they have to pay. Reaching down and actually touching the roots of what this community could be and develop in that way, I think is very important. And actually connecting with businesses and setting a standard. Most companies, they're not all Airbnb, right? So they don't have an actual respect for design. They only respect the solutions, but to nurture, grow, develop, they don't really care. So even if you were to get a certification from AIGA, like who care unless that design agency or studio, whatever, unless they are in that community, but it don't mean shit, right? So um I think unfortunately for design, for tech, for almost every workforce, a union probably is the answer. But everyone's scared of that, right? No one wants to unionize because from the people don't even remember the past. They don't even remember the 80s, let alone the history of unions, right? But everyone's afraid of unions. I have a Snapple fact for you. You know how we're young guys, right? So, the whole no snitching thing that people always talk about in hip hop. No snitching actually came from the unions. That was a union thing. The union workers were they demanded no snitching. And if someone portrayed someone in the union, they would get stitches. So it wasn't even a street like there was people, in the criminal underworld who went by that, but that's really in America, that's where that actually comes from. So yeah, that's my staple fact from the day.